Hey guys, it's Brody. So I've been extremely talkative today. Made a couple videos. And honestly, I really ought to be sleeping because I have to be up at 5 in the morning for work. But I want to talk about something that's been bothering me for a couple days now. Um, so okay, sorry about that. So one thing that has been on my mind for quite some time has been what my role is going to be, um, and what it means to be a man. Um, Now, when I ask people that question, I'm normally like given a raised eyebrow, or I can't do that. Kind of. Anyway, people often give me a raised eyebrow because or or it's a very nonchalant answer. Like, like it means whatever you want it to be. But honestly, um, I mean, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to, I guess, force some sort of role on me, but I feel like it's an important question. Um, what does it mean? Um, Everyone will have their own answer, obviously, but the thing is that since I decided to go ahead with the transition, people have been asking me why I want to take hormones, and I could never really answer that question, give an answer that I feel would be sufficient to what the person was looking for. Because I feel like when people ask that question, they're looking for some sort of weakness on your part. Like, oh, like I don't know, like you failed as a woman, or you just, I don't know, something negative, something that they could have on you, and I mean, it's really not that at all. And I guess that's what this video is about, explaining why I decided to take up with the hormones and start this process. So I guess we'll go back in time a little bit, way back when, back in like April or something, when I had just begun performing as a drag king, and the feeling I got from being on stage was, it was something familiar, and that's why I wasn't entirely sure at first if this was the right thing, because I did theater in high school, and I just remember how much I loved being on stage and how much like euphoria I got, from just being on stage and getting to be someone else, and it was great. And I feel like that kind of gave me a little bit of anxiety um, because I just always felt like I didn't want to be me. And I mean, in high school, I didn't even know who me was. Um, to be honest, I'm still not entirely sure. I go by two different names now, and I'm thinking about actually changing my name again. when I actually go to change my name legally. Um, but the thing was is that drag it's a whole different ball game. I mean, it's not that different, but like the thing is that you're impersonating someone of the opposite sex, and I just remember all of a sudden thinking, and uh, you know, I wish this beard on my face was real. I wish my voice was deep. I wish, I could be like the boys, the artists that I was impersonating, the songs that I was doing, you know? And that's when things really started to, like, I guess, click. And I feel like I might have explained this in a previous video because this was like kind of a huge thing. But I had an out of body experience. I broke down and, you know, it finally hit me. I realized I was trans and everything made sense. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but like, going back to my childhood, the way I wanted to dress, the way I wanted to present, um, and even how I hated my name growing up, and I hated hanging out with the other girls in my neighborhood, and I mean, these are all like things you don't really think about when you're a kid. I mean, I felt like an outcast. Um, I've always I've always felt like an outcast, and I guess that's why like, well, I don't know. Um, my low self-esteem growing up has been due to my mother projecting her insecurities onto me not looking the way a girl was supposed to look, and me not fitting in with the boys. I mean, those are really the three things that come down to it. Um, my mom was so afraid of, like, I guess, me not being feminine. Um, that my weight became a problem, the way I dressed became a problem, the way I ate became a problem. My friends were a problem. Everything was a problem. And it got to a point where my mom blamed my queerness on my friends. She used to tell me, if I raised you in New York, you wouldn't be this way. And I said, and I just looked at her and I laughed and I was like, yeah, mom, no, that's not how it works. I am the person who I am, and whether or not I would have figured it out now, which I am so grateful that I did, or down the road when I'm 50 years old, the person that I'm supposed to be is always, like, the person who I'm supposed to be is always going to be present. It's not going to go away. It might hide for a little bit, but I found the person. I found who I'm supposed to be. And I guess the thing is right now is that I feel like I have huge shoes to fill. And that's how the question arises. What does it mean to be a man? Um, and I honestly, I haven't really been able to answer it because I still feel like a kid. I have no sense of what being a man or a woman is supposed to feel like because I'm a little boy. That's the best way to explain it. Maybe not physically. Physically, I'm a 23-year-old woman. I mean, let's be real about it. But emotionally, mentally, I feel like even spiritually, I'm a boy entering puberty. Um, and this is a rite of passage, and I have to prove myself. And you're probably looking at me right now, watching this video, saying, "No, you don't gotta prove yourself. You don't gotta prove yourself to no one." But the thing is that I do. I do. I've had this discussion several times with several different people, but trying to fit in with a group of cis men as a trans man is incredibly difficult. And sexual orientation aside, it's kind of like there's a club and you have to prove yourself. You have to prove that you're some sort of masculine to fit in. And if you can't prove yourself, sorry about it. They'll never see you as a real man. Um, but for me, I guess it's a little deeper than that. It has to do with family and and the future. And I'm trying to stray away from the future as much as possible right now. I'm trying to focus on today. I'm trying to focus on what's going to happen tomorrow and not 6 months from now. But ultimately, I feel like we have like like this thing that's given to us from birth, where we're basically raised to start a family, and that's it. Get a job, raise a family. And being that my transition has just begun, the only role models in my life, as far as men go, are my father and my brother. And I love my brother dearly, but those two men are not the greatest role models in the world. Um, and I don't feel like to be a man you have to be tough. To be a man you have to be strong. To be a man, you can't cry, can't show any emotion. I'm an emotional person, and I don't think that's ever gonna change. If I need to cry, then I'm gonna cry. Um, and if I get called a faggot because of that, then then to you, my ignorant friend, bless you. But I guess that means that I'm a faggot. Um, because immediately the role of being a father popped into my head. Treating someone properly. The the typical model of man, woman, child came into my head. And I say typical because that is the model that society puts on us. And I just thought that that was funny because I'm not straight. Um, exclusively. But that was the image that popped into my head. And I explained to my therapist the other day, I was like, being a man means so much. And there's so much pressure put onto men that people, I feel like, glance over because of reasons X, Y, and Z. Um, and maybe it's because um, people are so focused. Like the focus right now on almost everything is women's rights. And I feel like, yes, that does need to be a focus. Things need to be addressed. But I feel like there's so much responsibility placed on a man's shoulders that people tend to glance over because maybe they handle it well. Because it was something that was put onto them at a very young age. Like, this completely, like, I had no idea. But, you know, now that I'm transitioning, once I change my marker, from my understanding, I have to sign up for the military. I won't be able to serve, but I still have to sign up because I will be male identifying. At the age of 18, men have to sign up for the military. Um, and I mean, of course, the draft is not, the draft is not really a thing right now. But the way the government's going, I mean, like, it could be. And, if you get called, if the, you know, if you get called, you gotta go. But, I mean, that's an extreme example, an extreme case, like, an extreme case of the draft being reinstated. I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon. But, but, I mean, there's that. There's the notion, like I stated briefly before, there's the notion of of finding a job that suits you, finding a wife, raising a family, providing for that family, and then you know, I don't know, it's weird, and um, I mean that's just never a life I pictured until recently. I never thought about having kids. I never thought about getting married. Never I never really thought about anything. In fact, I was completely content with living the life of a bachelor for a couple of years. You know, but but I feel like there's like a sort of pride that comes with being a man, and when you can't live up to it, it's there's just a sense of disappointment. Um, and like part of me is just saying, I can't believe you're talking about this, Brody. Like, what are you doing? um but I'm just trying to figure out what being a man means for me, because being a man for someone else is completely different, I'm sure. But I need to figure what that means for myself, and hope that I could portray that and be that man and grow into that man and be that man. And I don't know. I feel like maybe it's a little bit early to be thinking about that, but I mean, these are things you get excited about. You know, I'm single. I don't, uh, you know, um, the last video I made, I was saying how, you know, the people who have significant others are really lucky and should count their stars. But honestly, I feel like that listening to the podcasts that I've been listening to, the best way to handle any situation is to deal with it in the moment. Some people have significant others. Some people don't. Some people choose not to. I'm not someone who's necessarily choosing not to. Necessarily. But I do feel like I have a lot more growing to do before I could even consider dating, whatever, maybe. But actually having a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a person, I don't know if I can handle it. And I hate saying that because I don't know, maybe it's my ego saying, no, you can't handle it, damn it. If anyone else can handle it, why the fuck can't you? But if I'm being realistic about it, a relationship is something I want. It's not something I need. And I think that's it. I just think that's something I've been kind of pushing aside and not wanting to admit to myself. I'm doing this by myself. I've been doing this by myself since day one. I've tried to include people in this. But people are gonna come in and out as they please. My door's always open. I think I just got my answer. Being a man, being a human, means being as warm and as loving as you could possibly be. To exude the light in your life so that other people want to be around you. And giving and giving and giving and not expecting anything in return. Loving yourself and loving your neighbor. Loving your brother, loving your sister, loving humanity, no matter how stupid or how mean or how cruel people can be. All you can do is love. Now, that doesn't mean you have to marry a person. It doesn't mean you have to give up any sort of part of yourself. It just means to love as fiercely as possible. I guess I've always been of that notion. I just kind of got it muddled in and with a lot of other things. I wish, sometimes I wish that my friends would come back. Sometimes I wish my friends would call me and check up on me. And I'm not talking about you, Reg. You harass me every single day. And I love it. But people are gonna do their own thing. I'm not always on people's minds. They're not always on mine. And I used to get upset because, it's just like, why won't you check up on me? And I'm supposed to be your friend. Why won't you do this? This is bullshit. I'm alone. I feel abandoned. Why don't you actually recognize that? But at the end of the day, it is what it is. A little while ago, I was feeling really, really upset about it because I feel like this isn't exclusive to being trans. But you do experience loneliness. That's a thing. Like we're not meant, us humans, we're not meant to be solo. We need companionship. That doesn't mean that taking a break from life or from other people is bad, but being in solitude all the time is. Not having a person that you can go to is. I'll always check up on my friends. I'll always make sure that I'm putting myself out there to make sure that my friends are okay. For a while I expected the same thing from them, but I can't, because they're not me. Would I like it if they checked up on me every now and then? Yeah, absolutely. But I can't put that expectation on them. I guess that's just something I've had to learn